That's how he do.
It sure is.
Oh my god, he's meowing with all of his power. Welcome to Madoka Magicast, a podcast devoted to the dark magical girl anime Puella Magi Madoka Magica. I am your host Amanda, and I am joined by my co-hosts Yasha and Vanna, who have returned from Japan.
Woo! Yay!
Actually, they've been back for a while, but we just haven't recorded since then.
It's been a lot.
It's been crazy, okay?
Yes. And this is the podcast where they watch Madoka Magica for the first time. I rewatch it as a longtime fan, and we talk about what we love and don't love about the show. Today we are covering the last episode.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! So you guys streamed this yesterday with some of our friends.
Yep.
And that was interesting.
There was crying, I think. A lot of people cried.
I was crying at my keyboard through most of it personally.
Yeah.
All I could really contribute to the discussion in the chat was crying emoji faces.
That is fair.
Yeah.
I think that was the dominant mood in the chat, was crying emojis.
Yeah. I mean, just to start, since I'm guessing this episode is going to be a two-parter, because I can't imagine that this won't go on for a very long time. So before we start, let me just ask right from the beginning, like, do you guys have any like brief but like
overall
thoughts about the finale?
I'm really stuck on the wish, but to be honest, I can talk about that when we get to it in the narration.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
okay.
That's my favorite aspect of it, and it's something that resonates with me because it's in a lot of different stories and fairy tales. Is the wish as a logic puzzle?
Yeah.
So
trick the devil out of his
exactly.
deed.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like that honestly probably impacted me most is the very clever way that wish was crafted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Madoka's not dumb. She
Yeah,
really isn't.
She really thought about it before she went. She gave it a lot of thought.
Yeah.
God bless her too.
But like I said, I can get like deeper into that at that point in the recap.
What about you, Vanna?
I actually really appreciated how the ending, because you know, like there's those endings that are really succinct and story ending, and this is the period at the end of the sentence, and if there's anything after this, they've had to like retcon or do something to fix it.
Pretty much.
Or you have like the opposing, like the Sopranos ending where it's just completely open in the back end, and I liked that this ending kind of skirts both. Because on one hand, it is absolutely a period at the end of Madoka's sentence. Yeah. And on the other hand, it does tell you that Madoka made a specific wish that doesn't necessarily change how everything works, except for, you know, magical girls. Like, I like that it was a bit of both. Like, there is definitely, like, a ... at the end of it, but they managed to have that as well as a really satisfying end for this story arc.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate that about it. That's really hard to do, especially in so short a period of time. Like, Utena takes 39 episodes to get to that kind of...
Yeah. And I would love to respond to that, but if we start talking about this, we will not even get to the episode, because I know we'll just keep going on and on and on.
I know.
So, what else? So, since people haven't really heard us... Oh my god, excuse me. I'm burping because I'm drinking beer.
So are we.
Excuse me. So I don't know, just it's been like at least a month since we recorded, and I'm getting a puppy on Saturday.
Yeah, you showed us pictures of him.
Yes.
Oh, adorable.
She's a white Pomeranian.
Oh, is it she or a he?
Yeah, it's a she, and she is currently 8 weeks old, so she'll be 9 weeks when I get her. And I'm so excited.
I am so awesome. Excited for you.
Puppies
are adorable.
Yes, and she's a pom, so she'll be like fit in my hands. She'll be so tiny.
Are they? They're a bit yappy too, aren't they?
Actually, poms are not too bad.
No,
yeah, not
poms
really.
aren't too yappy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm used to thinking of like smaller animals yappier than bigger ones.
Like you might be thinking of like Jack Russell Terriers or Chihuahuas, maybe.
Chihuahuas, most likely.
I was gonna say we could have conversations with Sam.
We had to kick him out earlier because he was trying to hog the microphone.
He really was. He had a lot to say about this episode.
I've never heard a cat scream in that way. I mean, really, he was like, it wasn't these cute little meows. He was like, it was just like a ridiculous
I don't know, man.
meowing.
Like, have you ever seen that GIF that's like, this isn't even my final form?
Yeah.
Because that was Sam right then. Yeah. He can go harder.
I can get worse.
Oh my god.
I had him on the balcony once while Vanna was walking home from work, and she heard him all the way down the street screaming.
I could hear him. I was like, holy.
Did you know it was him? Were you like,
I knew.
Cat?
I knew. He can project his voice like miles. It's very impressive.
But yeah,
all right, we'll have to get his opinion on this finale later.
Yeah, maybe I'll interview him about it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great idea. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So we are watching episode 12, titled "My Very Best Friend," which itself makes me want to cry. This title makes me want to cry. It first aired on April 21st, 2011. The script was written by our boy Gen Urobuchi, storyboarded by Shinsaku Sasaki, episode directed by Yukihiro Miyamoto, and animation directed by Junichiro Taniguchi and Mika Takahashi.
And I do want to mention, because like when we were making the episode summary, we're like, hey, so episode 11 aired on the same day as well. And it turns out because of the earthquake that had happened in March that year, they delayed everything, and so the two episodes did air back to back, which I feel like that feels good, because they definitely feel like something to watch all at once.
Feel like a two-parter.
It feels like an hour-long season finale, and not really two individual episodes.
Yeah,
totally.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Oh, hey, did we get any Curious Cats?
Yeah, let me take a look at our Curious Cats, because there's a pretty good chance that we did, since I asked people to send us some questions. Here is a good question that we can answer here before we get to the episode. All right, Anon. Oh, actually, this is Tom Tay Fairy Tale Blog, who has been has submitted questions in the past, so hello again.
Hi!
They say, I had a question regarding something I have been thinking about for some time. I recently attended Anime Expo in Los Angeles, and one of the panels I attended was the Sailor Moon one, which was actually one of my favorite panels that weekend. And one of the questions asked to the panelists was whether or not Hollywood, and I suppose mainstream Western pop culture, would ever latch onto the magical girl genre. No real conclusion was reached regarding that, but I couldn't help but mull over it, because we have seen Western shows that are heavily inspired by magical girl shows, such as Steven Universe and Star vs. the Forces of Evil. We've also had works like Pacific Rim, which took many cues from a genre mostly associated with anime. There's clearly a Western fanbase for these types of stories, and I feel the warrior type of magical girl seen in Sailor Moon has the easiest crossover appeal with, say, superhero fans. But do you think there may be some cultural differences and genre conventions that may hinder such a thing from happening? I personally think it's possible, but I would like to hear what you three think. Thanks for reading this question, and keep up the good work.
Gotta put on my thinking cap for this one.
You know what? Maybe 10 years ago I would have said, yeah. But at this point, we have fucking, expanded universe comic book movie franchises with huge amounts of success based on IPs that in the 90s you would have had to never have had sex in your life to be fan of.
Yeah.
So,
But you know what? I think it's going to take some time, because there's a really, really big hurdle there, and that is the whole everything that teenage girls like is
bad
considered
and
garbage.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I was about to say.
Yeah.
So we talked about this a little bit in previous episodes, but it's the whole thing where, like, in Japan, for us, having these female superhero characters who are unabashedly feminine and female is a really revolutionary thing in Western culture. But in Japan, feminists are a little bit more critical of it because you're still boxing women into this particular aesthetic and role that they have to hold. And I feel like we would have the opposite problem in the US, because usually when we think of, in the West, like, strong female characters, we think of, female super spies and female karate experts.
Mm-hmm.
And,
fucking Furiosa from Mad
they've
Max.
had to take on
Yeah.
masculine traits to be perceived as powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really don't, and that's why Sailor Moon is so beloved, and also why, like, but also, like, we don't have that, and people, the only way it could work, in my opinion, is mainstream audiences would need to be introduced to this idea.
Yeah.
And it would probably have to be presented as an action comedy, because otherwise people wouldn't, like, they just wouldn't, like, oh, really? They're using sparkles to beat monsters? Sure, okay. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how Sailor Moon was presented to us, too. So
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day. It was very... I kind of wonder if you're gonna end up, like there's definitely an awareness of the magical girl genre in Western media. Like you said, like Steven Universe and all of these content creators that are making this media now are clearly people who have background in this genre especially. I have a feeling you're going to see more of it kind of like picked at and prodded at and carved off and subsumed into like other things. Mm-hmm. Like you're going to see stuff in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe that's clearly stuff that they picked up from the magical girl genre, but teased and pulled at and made into something that works in that one. Mm-hmm. And I think you'll probably see that before you see anyone try to explicitly do
that's
a magical
a form
girl.
Of normalization.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of
and like that's what I think
it's
meant
also
by, like,
that's how normalization works.
Yeah.
And the other thing,
that's how you would introduce the audience to the idea of it, like you were saying.
The other thing I wanted to mention, though, is that a lot of us who grew up with things like that, like a lot of us who grew up admiring Sailor Moon and all of that kind of thing, we're getting older and we're getting into positions of power. Where we are powerful consumers, where our opinions are listened to and that kind of thing. And as we age, that's only going to get stronger. Mm-hmm. So it's something that I think is kind of like generational, almost. Yeah. Like as the previous generation loses its hold on media and ours takes more hold of media, then we're going to see things like that.
Ooh, you know what also is like, I think maybe relevant here, and I'm trying to remember, I'm sure there's a name for this phenomenon because I've heard the name for it and I can't remember what it is. But, like, in American culture, you have, in any culture, but, like, this is the one that I can speak to, where, the political and the cultural tone tends to inform the kind of media that happens. So, like, when things are a little weird, like, post 9/11, you started getting these really gritty reboots of Batman and
Right.
And then when things get like dark enough, we go in the other direction.
And we get like fantasy.
Yeah,
like
we
Lord
start
of the
wanting
Rings
unreservedly optimistic.
We get Guardians of the Galaxy and Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering if we're unhappy enough at this point that Magical Girl might be something you could sell an American audience because it's such a break from
you know what?
misery that we are used to.
You're not wrong about that.
So there might be a zeitgeist around that here.
I'm going to say give that like 5 to 10 years because things are only really going to get worse.
We're calling it. That's going to be a fad.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get it.
Yeah, I'll say this before we move on from this question.
Mm-hmm.
As a self-identified Sailor Moon expert, I can tell you, Tomte, Fairy Tale Log, and everybody else, that I don't think a live-action Hollywood Sailor Moon movie will ever happen.
Oh god, no.
At least not in the next 20 years. Not even in a terrible version. It just won't ever happen, ever. Not even direct-to-video American-made Sailor Moon. Because Naoko Takeuchi is so overprotective of her property nowadays, because she was so mistreated in the 90s by Toei Animation, and so disrespected for like 10 years straight, that she just doesn't let people use her story anymore for that kind of stuff. So... It basically, everything Sailor Moon that has happened after the Toei anime ended in 1998 has basically been directly overseen by Naoko Takeuchi, which is why it's all much more manga focused.
That's fair, I guess.
Yeah, so I think it's extremely unlikely she would ever give Sailor Moon over to Hollywood.
No,
to do
but
with it. Yeah.
But if I was going to say what could you make into a sellable property in the States, it would not have been Sailor Moon, it would be this.
Yeah.
Because this does skirt the line. You could do gritty Madoka.
Yeah.
Not gritty, but there's enough, like, explicitly dark stuff in it that you could make that more palatable.
You could make that work for an American audience.
Yeah, whereas Sailor Moon is so rampantly optimistic and happy.
Well,
in many ways.
You're speaking from the point of view of somebody who has not.
No, I mean, like, as a presentation.
Thing. But,
like, the cultural, like, presumptions that people make when they see Sailor Moon are not...
Yeah, they're not the same.
Yeah, Madoka's far enough removed. It's almost like I want to say, like Sailor Moon would suffer too much from its own success. Like, we know it too well.
I think it's doable. It's almost like not worth talking about because it would literally never happen.
Yeah, it's not happen.
I just know that Naoko would never let anybody do that.
But as for the magical girl aesthetic, I think I think that's
I think we're probably gonna start seeing
like I said, as our age group and the age groups under us get older and get more power over how media is portrayed, we're gonna see things like this.
Well, like, we have that Cats trailer to tell us that at this point you can sell something that looks like Who Gives a Single Fuck. I love
the haters. I love it.
The Cats trailer.
But the Cats trailer is that is what's going to lead to us getting magical girl stuff in the West. No, I'm serious. That willingness to suspend disbelief on that scale.
All right. All right. Whew. Turn it down a little.
Why isn't they should have done like a CGI animated movie of cats that could be really fun and cute and like over the top.
Honestly, I got super stage vibes. I've seen it on stage a couple of times, and the way that they did that trailer, I could like almost smell the grease paint. Like, seriously, they got the idea of a stage performance down so well in that trailer.
They're playing it really so happy. Straight that it's almost ironically
but
straight.
We're getting way off topic.
Anyway,
so yes, we are. Okay.
Any other curious cats?
A lot of these have more to do with stuff that happens in the last episode, which I feel might be
better at the end of the episode.
Addressed at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So this episode happened.
It sure did.
It sure did. So we left off last episode with Madoka turning to Homura as she's laying there ready to give up and saying, "I'm sorry." And we all know that what she's implying here is that she's going to make a wish. Finally, in the last episode.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. She's finally going to do it. We've been waiting for this.
We called it.
Yeah.
I know.
We really did. You know, Homura, of course, says, "No, don't do it." And Madoka says, "You know what? No, it's fine because I know exactly what I want to wish for. And I know exactly what I want to wish." And Madoka takes a second to bend over and give Homura a hug and basically say, "Thank you so much for everything that you did to me. You're the reason that this is going to work and this is going to happen. And, you know, I'm the one that you've been protecting. So don't worry. I'm not going to waste everything you've done right now. I'm gonna make the most of this.
Don't you trust me?" Or like, there's kind of like that thing, like, don't you trust the person that you've been caring for all this time?
I mean, in a different show, that would be like Frankenstein asking.
But no, here it's wholesome. I like it's cute.
Yeah, no, here it's cute.
So Kyubei's like, "All right then, Miss Super Jesus
Smarty
woman."
Pants.
At the center of dozens and dozens of different timelines. What are you going to wish for with your ridiculous power? I like how Madoka's about to make a wish, and then she stops and takes a deep breath. Like,
that's
I really got to make sure I'm saying this correctly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because this is a logic puzzle.
I mean, she knows that whatever she's about to wish for is going to be a big fucking deal, but she doesn't necessarily know what the outcome is going to be, just the intent.
Well, I mean, like, this is the part where I go off a little bit on other stories that have wishes in them, and the whole idea of a wish as, like, a plot device. Mm-hmm. And it's always a logic puzzle. It's always something that if you word yourself right, you can win. And here is absolutely perfect, to be honest. Yeah. Like, Madoka words herself just perfect to make all of the conditions right for what she wants.
Yeah.
And to save not only everybody, well, every magical girl and everybody in the world pretty much, but also herself. Like,
yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and tell us what it is that she wishes for?
I wish to erase all witches before they are born. All witches in all universes, both past and future, with my own hands. So it's a conditional, which is also what Homura did. And not necessarily what all of them do, because a lot of the time they're kind of like, I just don't want to die! Or, make people listen to Dad, or things like that.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that the two powerful entities here, being, like, Madoka and Homura, both make conditional wishes. Like,
yeah. That condition of with my own hands
is the big deal.
Super important.
Yeah.
That's the part that makes it work.
Yeah. I personally want to be the one who actually does this, and I'm asking you for the power to... I'm asking you to give me the power to do it, basically. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to do it, Kyubey. I want you to let me do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of also the loophole that leaves her existing in some way.
Yeah.
Because by doing it with her own hands, she has to still exist to do it.
Yep.
Whereas I think if you'd said just erase all of this period, it would have just gone straight to she doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Or she would have just been a magical girl, or like a regular one.
Yeah.
Because if he just does it himself, then there's no need for Madoka to ascend to some higher plane to be able to do it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah.
So it is a very specific wish, and I like that she, like, it's got such huge repercussions and things like that, but she's not trying to be, like, universal Jesus. She just wants to be Jesus for magical girls.
Yeah, and I know we were kind of rolling our eyes at this plot point of human beings having no technology and still living in caves, if it weren't for incubators.
Yeah.
But let's just say for a second that that's the case. Right? If that's the case, that's why Madoka can't be like, oh, I wish the incubators never came to Earth. Like, she can't wish for that. She can't wish for, I wish magical girls never existed. She can't make a wish like that, because if we go ahead and accept what Kyubey is saying is actually true, then we do need this magical girl system to some extent, because that's how we got to the point that we're at now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So this wish is very clever on Madoka's part. It really is.
Because she doesn't presume to override the whole karmic thing.
Yeah.
No.
She's going to rewrite the rules of it, but she seems to understand she's not going to get away from that concept, so...
Yeah, it's like, okay, we need this system, fine, but I'm going to go ahead and change the rules so that it's not so fucking horrible for all the people participating in it.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I'd like to note about the wish is the whole Kyubey being all like, well, since you're wishing for this, you're basically going to become a god. And I just really like the fact that it wasn't that Madoka wished for the power to become a god. She wished for the work, which is what gave her the power, which is an important distinction to make, because somebody who maybe wasn't sincere about it or that would have wished directly for the power.
That's her growth arc, though. Because, like, early on, you know, there's that whole thing where Madoka doesn't seem to know what to wish for, but she does want to become a magical girl.
Mm-hmm. She wants the power.
Yeah, and, like, in the first iteration, she wants to become a magical girl so much that she spends her wish on something fairly trivial.
A kitten.
And, like, that's her growth arc, is she's realized that the power in and of itself isn't necessarily what she wants. She doesn't need to be, you know, cool.
Yeah.
Because she's, like, I remember her saying, I'd be fine with whatever as long as I get to be cool like mommy. Mm-hmm. And, like, this is the opposite of that, because at this point, she's asking for the power to way outdo any of these people, but not the credit.
Yeah.
She loses all credit.
Well, like, that's the thing. She's asking for the work.
Yeah.
The power is secondary to the work that she wants to do.
Yeah, she says, I don't care. Kyubey asks her, do you want to become a god or something? And she's like, I don't care what I turn into. I just want to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Which is really...
Like, that's... Morally speaking, that's incredibly what you would want in somebody who becomes
was going
to
become a god figure. Yes.
Yeah.
That is very much what... In line with that whole set of, like, magical girl values without getting around, without, like, faking out the whole Madoka's only powerful because she's lived so many iterations kind of thing. Like, I like that you still had that, well, she's still an ordinary girl making this decision. She's not, because she doesn't carry, like, the same karmic destiny that, like, Cleopatra and all of them did, where it's like, you're an important person, therefore the power of your wish gets to be proportional to the amount of influence you're going to have.
Right.
Madoka's is built on not her own foundations, but she uses it anyway, so it's that kind of like, you know, even the smallest person can change the course of history thing.
Or the whole, like, the best leaders are the ones who don't
want it. Totally.
Right. Yeah.
That's exactly what she is.
Yeah.
And I do like that. And, like, I like that Kyubey, like, kind of has his pants shitting moment.
Yeah, he's like, hold on a second. Am I being bamboozled for the very first time here?
Did I just get punked?
Someone's bamboozling me for once?
It's true.
Shit, I've said too much. They've learned too much about what I'm doing here. Now she's making a smart wish.
I was just cock-waving and I gave away the whole game. I should have shut the fuck up. No, it's what I'm gathering from how this gets done, because, you know, she starts glowing right away. And Kyubey's like, are you sure? Like, it implies that Kyubey he clearly does not have the option of being like, no.
Yeah.
No, ask for something else.
He basically
he doesn't have a veto
to grant this wish.
Yeah.
Which implies that the power is really theirs to begin with, and he's just
something
a
that
lens
shapes
they get to focus it through.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get to say, no, you don't do that.
I feel like we could have a whole episode about the incubators and just trying to figure out what the hell
what their shit is.
Maybe later.
Yeah.
Maybe later.
But, like, she starts glowing, and she's very... But she's specifically wishing for the girls. Like, it's not about, I want to erase karmic destiny. She just wants a better fate for the magical girls that have been fighting all of this time.
Yeah, she says, like, I don't want to see magical girls cry. I want to see them feeling good about what they're doing up until the very end, and if anything stands in the way, if there are any rules that make that impossible, then that's what I want to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate that shot of Kyubey as she finally makes her wish? He's just like, that's like
his ears fly backwards.
Yep. It's amazing.
He's getting punked.
That's it's beautiful.
It is very much the trick the devil out of his due.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh snap. I got tricked.
And then everything goes white. We get the title screen.
Yeah.
And then we're in Mommy's apartment.
Yes.
Yeah, this is an interesting scene because I gotta say, I don't think this is actually happening.
No, this is definitely like a mental.
Yeah, this is in her head.
Kind of
this
thing.
is not something that's like going on in the world. This is a conversation.
No, it's not even happening in an alternate dimension or something. Yeah, I think this is maybe for the audience's benefit at least, and maybe at most it's some kind of vision that Madoka's having or something.
I think it's representative of her basically consulting her own morals.
Yeah, which has been built around all of the girls that she's known and encountered.
So she wants to make sure that she would have quote unquote their approval.
Yeah.
Of course they aren't actually there to approve, but she knows them well enough to know what they would say to her.
And like by the conditions of her wish, she's already gotten the capacity to think it through to its logical conclusion now, and that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that it's Mami and Kyoko she's talking to here, who are our two veterans, right?
Oh,
and Mami is the one who initially inspired her to even want to do this, and then Madoka unfortunately saw how maybe she wasn't that strong and cool of a person after all. She had actually been vulnerable that entire time. And then Kyoko is this formerly cynical, super nihilistic magical girl who really didn't care about anyone else, and Madoka's the one who kind of helped her come back to the light, you know?
Yeah.
So it's these two characters that she's having this non-diegetic discussion with, you know?
Also, it's probably pertinent that these two didn't become witches.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because Sayaka did become a witch, and so maybe that's something that...
And Sayaka gets dealt with differently in the episode because...
Exactly. So she's somebody who can't comment on this discussion for whatever reasons, I guess.
That makes sense in my head, though.
It does.
Yeah.
It does make sense, but I'm still trying to figure out why it does. You know what I mean?
Because Sayaka has her own arc, but reasoned, thinking out of
her arc isn't
not
about
really...
what it's like to be a magical girl at all. Her arc is entirely about Kyosuke and her choices regarding him, pretty much.
Whereas Kyoko and Mami have arcs that are very heavily tied to what they became as a result of their wish.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Sayaka was basically a witch in training the moment she became a magical girl, and the show never made bones about that.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what happened to her really had very little to do with
so
being
basically,
a magical girl.
inside Madoka's head, she's like, Sayaka,
there are two witches inside
is
of you.
invalid.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway,
So, yeah.
Mommy delivers some important exposition here for us to understand what's happening. She says, this wish, do you have any idea what this wish is going to do? You're basically going to lose yourself. You're not going to have a life anymore. You would have never existed. And as a result of this wish, of you wishing to do this yourself personally, you're going to be fighting forever, always, for this one thing. And you're basically going to become a concept instead of a person.
And Madoka's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
I do it anyway.
She legit doesn't care. She's completely okay with this. Madoka really believes in hope and goodness, and she says that, if I need magical girls to be able to hold on to that. So I want to make sure that every magical girl can be a beacon of hope instead of being unhappy. And then Kyoko shows up to be like, yeah, you got this, bro.
in full Kyoko form.
Just to throw in her 2 cents. Yeah.
Eating cake.
With her hands.
Eating cake.
With her hands, because that's how you eat cake, I guess, when you're her. What an icon. Seriously. But you know what, like, I mentioned to this when we were making the notes, and I think it's kind of cute that, like, because of course this is what Kyoko says, just go hard, high five.
Yep.
You live your best
you got this
life anymore. Yeah. But it's also, like, of course she's the one with the most liberal attitude toward godhood.
Yeah.
Given her background.
Yep.
Like, I feel like that would make more sense to her as someone with her background and her, like, backstory. So I do kind of like that she's the one to deliver that, like, yeah, no, that's fine. If you're willing to go down that road, then who should be stopping you?
Yeah.
You'll not
be the Jesus Christ of magical girls. Like,
pretty much.
Makes total sense to me. Do it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You started the YOLO thing there, and then I was just like, what kind of acronym would this be? You only become a god once? YOBAGO?
Like that?
YOBAGO.
Yeah. But, yeah, I do like that they're telling Madoka, like, what the implications of this are, and yeah, you're right. Like, she's like, that's fine. That's totally fine. But that does also kind of go with the same, like, that is still the same person that was, like, fine with becoming a magical girl to save a kitten.
Yeah.
It's the same person. It's just that the degree and the spread have increased dramatically as she's gotten older.
Now she has been given the information and context that she needs to basically make the same kind of wish, but have it mean so much more.
Yeah. It is, like, it is exactly the same kind of wish, just on a way bigger scale and better thought out. But it's still the whole very selfless sort of, as long as I'm important to people, I don't really care whether they know it or experience that in any particular way. So
Mommy gives back Madoka her little booklet of drawings from the second episode. And she says, you're going to become hope itself for all magical girls across time. And then we get this, we get back to the present, and we have this sweet as hell shot of Madoka sparkling and glowing, ready to do her thing. Yeah. So cool.
And no panty shot, thank fuck. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We do get a panty shot, even though it's an upskirt shot.
There's an upskirt shot,
but it's all ruffles.
All ruffles. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
And she's got this, like, sweet bow growing out of a flower thing.
Yeah, it's basically like a staff or a wand.
Yeah. Thank you, original anime, for not having panty shots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe not so thank you for things we're gonna watch later. That don't necessarily have panty shots, but you can tell it's pretty much in the same realm.
Same idea.
We'll get there.
So I didn't see anything immediately about the sigil, but is her sigil supposed to signify anything when she shoots the sky?
I honestly don't know. It's okay. We should take a step back. Her staff of wands turns into a bow, and what I think, there's this wide shot of her aiming upwards to the sky, and this huge pink flame like erupts above her, and like it's kind of almost like invisibly attached to the top tip of her bow, and she shoots up into the sky, and it basically cuts a hole in the storm clouds and like lets the sunlight in, and this pink sigil appears. Whether this sigil means anything, I have no idea.
It looks familiar.
Yeah, it's got a lot of like Sephiroth energy and stuff like that.
Like it looks
like
Sephiroth.
Isn't that thing that flashes briefly in the Evangelion opening?
It
that's
looks very
Sephiroth.
Similar. It has a look like that. It's not
It's
right.
not quite the same, but
it's the same
also,
energy.
you know what it's reminding me of? It's reminding me of Homura's chairs.
I can see that.
Yeah, you remember how they're all laid out like that? Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, that might be something to look at.
I mean, like, I'm just saying that when the visual aesthetic echoes like that, it's trying to pull resonances from other places kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, if it's echoing Homura's chairs, then that means that it's trying to keep Homura in your mind while this happens kind of thing.
Well, that makes sense, too, because the colors... match.
Yeah.
But like so the sigil happens though, but once the arrow hits, a bunch of things spiral off from the center of the sigil, and they look like what you see when particle collisions are graphed. Like, have you ever seen like
I didn't notice that, but that's a cool catch.
Yeah, it looks like
Actually, you know what? Maybe just bring up a picture of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So like when you do particle collisions and accelerators, you end up with kind of patterns that look very like this.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really neat touch, given that you've just been told Madoka's about to recreate the conditions of the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is her Big Bang, basically.
Yeah.
Right,
where even at the atomic level, everything is going to have to be reordered to her wishes.
Suit her wishes.
Yeah. Which I thought was a really neat touch, especially since now you have all of the arrows that have fractioned off from the main one, again, like a particle smasher, in all of these different directions to save these magical girls.
Yes. So now we get this really interesting montage here.
Mm-hmm.
So she parts the clouds, the sky lights up beautiful blue, and like you said, like all these arrows, these pink energy arrows fly out all over the earth, and we get this really interesting montage. So we have written in the notes that this is a magical girl in Bhutan. And I'm so glad that you guys caught that, because I've never known where this girl is supposed to be from.
Well, I did honestly cheat and check that.
Okay.
Something to do with like the banners around her and stuff like that people were like, oh, that's a
Bhutanese.
Yeah. So she's from Bhutan, and then you just get like this montage of different magical girls from
with Madoka coming to them at the moment of their greatest despair and making their soul gem vanish
instead of turning them into a wish.
I love the way she appears. She just kind of, it's like this light. It's like this light approaches them and it just kind of pops into Madoka as this kind of floating angelic presence, and she takes the soul gem in her hands, and you see the darkness get sucked up into her, and then the soul gem just kind of disappears, and the magical girl gets to just die, basically, just peacefully.
You don't get to survive, but you don't become a witch.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's fine.
Yeah. That's better conditions to work under.
And then we have this African girl. Yep, which the same thing happens. I don't know who this is, though.
Yeah, she's on a savannah kind of deal, but I don't know if it's a specific person or nobody.
She's so cute, and I wish we knew more about her.
I know, she seems sweet.
Definitely.
Same for some of this other one, like the future girl who's next.
Yeah!
She's in like this extremely futuristic city that almost, when I look at that, it almost looks like a theme park.
Yeah.
Like it's got that candy-coated, like futuristic theme park kind of look to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's obviously calling back to Madoka saying anytime, past, present, future thing. So that's
she has
proving.
to do all of them.
So that one isn't a person we can identify just yet. Because she doesn't exist yet.
No. But she's like future theme park lady, and then you switch to a Viking kind of kid.
Who looks very cute.
She's extremely cute. And then
there's
somebody
like
lying on the side of a
volcano or something.
Someone
said, "Oh, this must be like Mount Etna or something like that." But I didn't really see anything that would tell you that either way. But
and she vanishes all of their soul gems, and they get peaceful deaths. And
then we start having some a little bit uncomfortable shots.
Yeah. What was it that you read about the first one?
On the wiki, someone said that last one there was supposed to be the Afghan girl.
The one from National Geographic.
The National Geographic photograph.
Which is
really
kind of fucked because she's still alive.
She is.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that came from, if that's just some fan shit or something. I don't know.
So.
The next one is implied to be Anne Frank because she's on a train and has the star.
That's really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah, we're going back. We're sliding backwards into that all women who have accomplished anything actually just had magic.
Situation.
Yeah,
that really makes me wonder what the hell Anne asked for.
Yeah, she didn't get it.
Well. Yeah. Whatever happened there, I think she probably should have asked for something else. But no, there's definitely this whole air of everything that's relevant that has happened to women or humanity at large has been reliant on this system. Which, like you said, is why she doesn't wish for Kyubey to never have shown up. They still need it. Right. But it does still imply that without this one particular thing, these girls would have been...
We get flashbacks on all of the other historical figures that were mentioned earlier, too. Like
I'm
Cleopatra
still mad about Cleopatra. She died at 39, man. It's a little old for a magical girl. Anyway, go on.
Well, not to get off topic, but there is, in the cell phone game that has recently come out, there is a magical girl in it who is actually in college, and she has just managed to survive that long. Although, I will say she has a very detached and deadpan attitude, the same way Homer does. So she's seen some shit, basically.
A certain amount of cynicism. Yeah.
It is possible for these magical girls to manage to survive into adulthood.
Yeah.
Just tricky.
Yeah.
And anyway, then we get to see my wife.
Yes, your waifu.
Walpurgisnacht. Somebody asked us on Twitter, what was it? It was one of those fuck, marry, kill things, and it was Walpurgisnacht, Kyubey, and somebody else. I can't remember. Maybe it was Akio. And I was like, fuck Akio, kill Kyubey, marry Walpurgisnacht. So she's my wife now.
There you go.
Yep.
I mean, I just want to listen to that beautiful laugh.
Yes! It is such a laugh. And I don't remember, they don't say it in the show, but isn't Walpurgisnacht basically a congealed witch from all the witches?
I mean, that's what you were thinking from the beginning, kind of.
Yes, that is basically what she is. She really isn't. She's a single witch, and she's a single witch, and she's not a single witch. She's kind of multiple witches rolled up into a big.
She's an amalgam.
She's
an amalgamated ball of witches.
She's the culmination of the gathering of that much curse. Because the idea of the magical girls that become a curse, that become a witch, that balances out the karmic debt, but that it exists at all creates an accumulative misery on the part of the girls, and that's what she is the growing discontentment and the growing negative energy from the system.
And this follows that montage of her relieving all of the magical girls from their despair. So after that happens, we see all of those arrows coming back and basically picking little chunks off of Walpurgisnacht slowly.
Because she doesn't exist if they never had the misery to create her.
Right.
So,
right.
So it's not really that she defeats Walpurgisnacht, she just makes the conditions under which Walpurgisnacht was born not happen anymore. So she just sort of shreds away.
She gets very Jesus-y again, and she says, everything's going to be okay. You don't have to hate people anymore. You don't have to curse anyone anymore. I'm going to go back before any of this ever happened, and I'll take on all of that strife that you had so that you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so basically Walpurgisnacht is defeated, and there's a big blast of white light, and Homura is kind of caught up in this blast. And the next time she opens her eyes, she's on the moon?
Yep. It looks like it, yeah.
Look, it's the moon, and it's totally this is some end of Evangelion energy.
It really is.
There's a couple shots in this that are yes, I saw that movie too, although clearly they disagreed with that movie's premise heavily. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't want that either. But
End of Eva is such a damn troll film. Anyway.
Yeah, it really is. Kyubei is like, oh, you're here. Well, that makes sense because you have time powers, so you can see what happens here.
I do like that they actually have a rationale for why Homura can see this instead
Well,
of
I
just
mean,
being
it only
like,
makes
Homura is
sense.
a special.
It only makes sense
Yeah.
because she does have time magic, and basically time is being unraveled at this point.
Right.
Yep.
So Kyubei's voice is saying, like, well, because of her wish, the universe is being reorganized right now because Madoka's invented, like, new laws of physics, basically, and the whole universe is changing because she made this wish. And he said, and then he's like, so it looks like she really is on the moon because the sky is definitely space.
No, she's definitely on the moon.
She's
That's
definitely on the moon because
what she's
later she
standing
sees
on.
Earth. But,
Yeah.
no, it's...
And you
Basically,
that's
he's
how
like,
draw
you
the
get
moon
to
when
see
you
the
draw
end
it.
of Madoka.
Which is that's a soul gem.
That's a gigantic soul gem.
Yeah.
It
That's
sure
it.
is more like a meteor than a soul gem.
It's a fucking meteor.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you see it like shining and kind of taking on the grief of all of. So you do see Madoka's evolution into a witch, which I think is actually
Really cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
Because for her to reorder the universe, she still has to take this one to its logical conclusion.
Right.
Which I think is a neat touch. They still have to show you that because she still has to go through that to undo it.
Yeah. So he says that Madoka created enough hope to give birth to the universe, but the end result is also enough despair to end the universe is created. So, and all of that is rushing towards Earth right now. Hooray!
Hooray! but do not worry because first this witch is so cool. It basically
This is so fucking cool.
it's the face from the ending.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's this big scribbly squiggle angry face, and
You know what
it's
it
big
looks
enough
like?
to wrap its arms around the Earth itself.
The face looks like the sun. Like, the
Well,
way
the
that
mouth,
it's drawn.
the pattern in the mouth is a moon pattern.
The pattern
That's how
in
you
the
draw
mouth
the
is a
moon.
moon pattern. The pattern in the eye is
the
like a
Earth.
blue planet.
Yeah, is a blue
Yeah.
planet kind
And
of
like
deal.
the way that they've drawn the whatever around the face,
It looks
itself.
like one of those stylized suns.
Yeah, like
from
one of those
manuscript kind of.
Exactly,
Yeah.
like from
art,
an illuminated manuscript. So it's really neat. Like,
Well, because her wish made her a god, so
yeah,
her
so
which would be the equivalent force of destruction. So it's got that like space look to it.
yeah, but like in a like you said, like in an illuminated manuscript sort of way.
Yeah, Like, I like it. It's very.
It's just the design is super cool.
It's super cool. I kind of wish we'd seen more of it, just because like that's cool. And clearly, also like Pergus Noct does not need a labyrinth.
Yeah.
Clearly.
So
Homura looks pretty devastated that this is happening.
yeah.
And but
This
no.
witch is a lot bigger than Earth.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
a lot
massive.
bigger than Earth.
It's giant. But it also immediately disappears.
Well,
kind of
no,
shatters
it's
into a bunch
right
of.
now. It's attacking the Earth.
Yeah.
That's the grief basically imploding on Earth.
Well, it's all of the grief that Madoka has to take onto herself to have taken it away from the magical girl. So she's every witch in history at that point.
But what I'm saying is what just happened there wasn't like it exploding as in being defeated.
It attacked.
It was
Yeah.
that was the attack.
Right.
That was it imploding inward on Earth to attack it.
Yep.
And now we have
Glow
for
up.
some reason, I don't know, I don't get the fact that she's petting the little mustache guy.
It's a Jesus thing. She's like,
It's yeah, I think it's
I'm
just a
nurturing
nice
the
visual.
misery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, don't be afraid, sad creature of pure misery. I will save you. Like, that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
no, I like it, but why the mustache guy?
Because it's
Because he's so cute and fluffy looking.
Because it is literally because he's fluffy.
Don't you want
He's-
to pet him?
He's an evil tribble.
Yes, yes, he is. Oh my god, that's
Basically.
awful.
He's
Okay.
a cursed tribble, and she's petting. And
So-
her wish, though, was to erase all witches, which includes her. Which is, I
So-
guess, the paradox that results in her not existing anymore.
Right.
So,
This paradox is super neat, actually.
yeah, it's very Star Trek because they don't try to make it actually work.
Yeah,
They make it work on the laws that they've established in
Well,
the
like,
story, which I
basically-
appreciate.
basically, it implies like the expansion and collapse of the universe, just over and over. Like,
Oscillation theory.
yeah, like I mean, if you look at it from more of a physics sense, this mimics how we think the universe exists in the first place. With that whole the expansion because of hope, and then the collapse because of despair. But then Madoka saves herself, so it happens over again. The expansion because of hope, the collapse of despair.
Which is why it's the same thing that Kyubey can fight entropy with.
So it's like cyclical, and implies that basically the Big Bang and all of that, again, like we said earlier,
the Big Bang was another magical girl like Madoka.
Yeah,
actually, no, it was Madoka.
In this case, it is. It is Madoka.
Madoka caused the entire universe. Yeah, at this point.
I mean, there is a lot of circular imagery in this show too. There's
very much so
the ripples from Sayaka's thing, right? There's Homura with her clocks and her circular shield.
Yeah.
You know, Madoka has her sigil. That's all just a bunch of circles, really.
Yeah.
Kyubey has those rings around his ears. But there's a lot of, and now here's this shot of Madoka is in front of a spiral galaxy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of circle imagery, basically. Yeah.
Which I guess goes with the whole like the nature of her wish isn't to defeat that system, it's to improve it.
Yeah.
Which I like, because you can't beat the system.
It's
but
not
you
the
can
whole Daenerys "I'm going to break the wheel" thing.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to make the wheel suck less, because that's a reasonable.
That is what a reasonable person can do.
It's got, you know what it is? It's got kind of the same energy as like the end of the series Evangelion, where it's like, well, you can have intimacy with others, but it still means that there's going to be pain. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, you can't separate the
two. And Madoka has kind of like an innate understanding of that. She knows that there still has to be grief.
Yeah.
But she wants to make it something more manageable.
Yeah. Which is extremely reasonable.
Yeah, that's what I love about this ending. That's why this ending is so perfect to me. It's like, it really feels like the perfect, oh my god, I'm burping again from beer. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
We're burping instead of crying. I'll take that as a net.
That's true. The beer is keeping me from crying right now.
We're drinking to stop ourselves from crying.
What the hell was I even talking about?
We're talking about how perfect the ending is in terms of how Madoka has kind of basically rewritten the laws of the universe. How it's reasonable.
Yeah, like, this is, and I so rarely say this about any piece of media, but this, when I first watched this really felt like the perfect ending to a story like this. Like, I couldn't think of, I still can't think of a better way this could have possibly ended, because it's a resolution to this conflict that is completely consistent with every other thread of what's going on in this story. And even though it's not 100% satisfactory for the audience, you come away with it feeling like really satisfied with the ending.
Yeah.
You kind of know what I mean? It's like that classic, like, it's like a tragic story in the classic sense where sad things happen, but you feel a sense of triumph at the end of it for some reason.
Yeah. There was still something to get out of it, and because of that, you can't write the misery out of the story.
Right. Yeah. It's not really a completely unhappy story, because you feel like people have prevailed in really big ways over a huge problem. So it's so cool. She, like, this amazing goddess dress, like, blooms on her body, and her hair grows super long, and then she gets these really cool, like see-through fairy wings, kind of.
Yeah. Actually, my favorite part of the dress is the underskirt being like a starscape.
Yeah, that is super
That's cool, because it's the whole, like, she's got a universe behind her, and she's another universe.
And what did you say somebody called it? Godoka?
Godoka,
Godoka. Yeah.
But I like that. Like, it's literally her that's creating this other universe, and you see it in the dress thing.
I mean, if you're gonna become a god, you
better
gotta
be a cool looking,
glow up.
Yeah.
YOBAGO.
Yep. Yeah. if you're gonna go through the work, you better at least get a cool outfit, and she does.
If you're gonna be the main character in a magical girl show, you've gotta have an ultimate form.
That's right, and she has waited 11 episodes to get any sort of form, so...
Yes.
So, I would say this is a good cash into a lot of debt she's, she's cashing in on now.
So her bow comes back to her hands, and she says, you know, if my wish really did come true, then I have nothing to worry about, because that means that I, as a wish, also will never exist.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah.
So
And it comes true.
And it comes true, and she just blammos
The entire
her own witch self away.
entirety of existence.
yeah,
pretty much,
basically, she seems to explode the Earth and the Moon
Yep.
and the universe and
Homura
everything.
and
But that makes
Everything.
sense because,
Yeah.
like, because that is just what Kyubey said was going to happen. Because Kyubey says, you know, you've made enough hope to create a new universe, but you've made enough despair to destroy one too. And her defeating her witch isn't necessarily that not coming to pass. It's just that that universe is ending, and she
And a
still
new
has
one's
the
going
means
to
to
begin.
create
Yeah.
another one.
right.
So, like, it's not
so
that
like
it
it's
doesn't
that, like I was saying,
cost
the expanding
exactly.
and collapsing universe. Like basically,
It's timeline shit.
yeah, it's timeline shit, but also it's, if you look at it in terms of this happens over billions of years, that's what's happening literally right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat because, like, it's again, it's consistent with the canon that you've had established so far, with Homura being able to, like, reset a timeline, but on a much smaller scale. Homura only has the power and the karmic weight to change this one thing. Madoka is given the same weight, but on a large enough scale that she can enforce a better fate on you know, because she makes a more informed wish as well. But it has the same logic to it. It's the same logic puzzle that Homura had. It's just that because she saw how Homura's came out, she knew the thing that she needed to adjust.
Yeah.
So I do like that it is still logically consistent with the way that time has been established to work in the story, because that's like the big thing with timeline stories is it's very easy,
you got to keep it straight, otherwise
to defeat your own logic in it, and depending on whether you're a nerd or not, that gets aggravating.
So many Star Trek timeline stories.
But this is very satisfying. She does end the universe. Like, you did just see the end of the universe. It's just that that's not a bad thing if you're going to get to replace it with a better one.
Yeah, it's not the entire end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything gets blown away, Mang.
It's all
Everything
gone.
gets blown away.
It's all gone. And here we should probably take our episode break, because we have a lot more to go through, and we've been here at least an hour.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're going to have a two-parter on our hands. And
all right.
Part 1 might be a little short compared to Part 2, but we'll just have to close this out then. So,
you know, because the rest of this episode really needs to hang together. We can't separate the discussion.
Well, I think it makes sense to separate it this way, because you have the episode split into, you know, OG
this
universe and
the next
Madoka
one.
universe.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I agree with that. All right, well, you can follow the show on Twitter at Madoka Magicast. You can follow me on Twitter at Lambda Power, and on Tumblr at Sailor Shitpost. Plug yourselves, guys.
You can find us at ohtori.nu or on Twitter at OHTORI_NU. And
there's absolutely not a musical that we're absolutely not going to be helping
we absolutely
people
don't have
see.
a copy of a musical that absolutely we didn't go and see in Japan, and absolutely we haven't got it subtitled, so absolutely don't pay attention to our Twitter.
And it definitely has nothing to do with that show you guys have been curating and been obsessed with for the past
Nothing to do with it.
No.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't exist.
It's not real. Our producer, Panda, does a whole bunch of other podcasts. She does the Imagine Me and Utena podcast. She does the Fresh Podcast Market. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
A real podcast about fake podcasts.
Yeah, that's right. You can follow her on Twitter at
Mpandanada.
Mpandanada. That's what it is. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because she has a Sailor Moon one too, and I always mix the two up. So yes, please check us out, and please tune in next time for the second half of our finale here.
Excellent.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Sarah Zenmai. Oh, wait.
No, this is the Sarah Zenmai one.
I know.